What is up, guys? Thank you for stopping by and checking out another video. Today we're going to be talking about the FeiyuTech AK2000S. Now, this is not the brand new released AK2000C. I'm not able to get my hands on that one just yet, but I did want to go ahead and review the 2000S for y'all and kind of give y'all my thoughts and who I think this gimbal right here is for. Kind of fill the line of FeiyuTech gimbals that I have. I have the Vlog Pocket, which is the smallest gimbal they currently develop. I also have the Gimbal 2S. I have the FeiyuTech 2000S, and then I have the AK4500, which is going to be their biggest one. So there's a gimbal for pretty much every setup that I have, or every setup that I would occasionally run. And the reason I've kind of laid all that out is because every day there's a different scenario or a different ideal situation where I would use a certain gimbal. And what I ran across is I actually had the AK4500 and the Vlog Pocket on most occasions, and I found myself realizing that I didn't always want to bring out the big monster setup of the AK4500. And now thinking about it, I also have the G6 Max, which is able to carry small mirrorless cameras, as well as you have smartphones, of course, and then action cameras. Now that gimbal in particular, and I've done a review on it, so I'm going to leave that right up here. And that gimbal in particular is, if you're using it for a smartphone, it is by far a beast for a smartphone. However, if you're using it for a mirrorless camera, it's a little too little for a mirrorless camera. But moving on into the FeiyuTech 2000S, we're going to open it up, and it looks just like this. And now, if you're looking at it, everything is identical when you're comparing it to the AK4500, except the wooden grip that it has right here. Now, that grip is going to be basically a signature piece and a very unique piece when it comes to the 2000 lineup. And but what I found whenever I'm using this gimbal is it performs exactly like the AK4500 does. It has a couple of different features that the AK4500 just kind of redid on that gimbal, but all in all, it is a solid gimbal, guys. We have the handle right here. On the AK4500, this handle has remote functions and smart tracking functions. So this is just base. That's the difference in the handle for that, and it attaches directly to the gimbal. The only thing is you have to tighten up the screws that go inside of the handle right here. And that's the only downside about connecting the handle. I would like for an easier way to connect it, maybe just like a snap and lock type thing. But otherwise, still a great attachment. You have the exact same tripod stand that you have on the AK4500. They also put it in this one. You have your mounting bracket. This goes directly to your camera. You have your lens. If I'm not mistaken, this is your lens support. That right there. And then you have your other mounting bracket. Now your camera slides onto this, and then you're able to slide this onto the gimbal. So pretty easy stuff right there. And then, of course, you're going to have the gimbal itself. Okay, so something that FeiyuTech has really succeeded in is their access locks, and this is by all means the exact same as I would say the G6 Max when it comes to this one right here, just the locking mechanism. And so there's a lock on the bottom axis. You lock that, it won't turn. And then there's a lock on this axis right here, and we can lock that right now. And so now your gimbal is set up like this, and it won't turn. The only thing that's not locked is this one right here, and that is going to be located right up here, and we'll be able to lock it just like that. And so now you can turn your gimbal, do all this kind of stuff, and your gimbal's locked in position. You can do this with a camera on it, with a camera without it, however you want to do it. Me personally, I enjoy taking my camera off of it and then locking all the axis, and I lock it in the position or in the positions that I left it in. That way I can just slide the camera on and off and still be good. So fair warning whenever you're using this gimbal with a bigger setup, such I own the Canon EOS R6, which is the brand new, or one of the brand new mirrorless cameras that Canon has released, and I own that, and as well as the Canon RF 24-70. And so if you're familiar with 24-70 glass, they are extremely heavy, especially the 2.8 versions. And so when you're pairing that with the camera, this setup just won't support it. And that's a sad thing, but at the same time, I can only expect so much out of such a compact gimbal. And so what I typically do if I'm using that camera is I'll slap a 35mm on or a 50mm on, and we're talking prime lenses, and that way it's not as heavy, and I still have I have a better center of gravity, and this is able to support it just fine. Another setup that I use quite often is going to be the Canon EOS RP, and I have it right here, and this is paired with just your nifty 50, and I actually enjoy putting this on here as well. Okay, so I'm not going to go too in depth on how to balance the gimbal. I do want to walk you through on how to set it up and how to more or less get your gimbal working properly the way you want it to work. Okay, so starting off, we're going to power it on. Your power button is right here on the side, and you can hear it kind of make that noise, and then your gimbal should turn on just like so. And you can see we have it set up fine right there. Turning the gimbal around, here's going to be your main setup right here, or your main controls. And then on the side, you also have your wheel right here. Now, people mistake this wheel most of the time for a focus wheel. It is a focus wheel only if you have your rig set up with manual focus. But if you don't purchase that package, then you will not have that. What this does right out of the box is whenever you turn it, your camera will do this. And then if you push it, your camera will do this, side to side. And then if you push it again, you have your roll. The main section of the gimbal, which is again your keypad or your area right up here, your controls, you have a couple different sections. You have, if you have this paired with the gimbal, you can take a picture, you can take a photo, you can start record, you can stop record, and then you can control some of your other settings right here. This is a lock mode, and then you can do that, and then you go back into a pan follow mode. This is touchpad, so you can do everything you need to do from here. You can see I'm just going to switch through the modes just like that. So pretty easy stuff. You have, if you swipe on it, you have Inception Mode, which is the most popular with most gimbals, and the camera will rotate up just like this, and then you can select how many times you want it to go around, and it'll do just that. If you want to get out of it, just tap it and you're done. And then if you want to re-zero your gimbal, there's a trigger on the back side right here, and you just give that a double tap. So, to get out in Inception Mode, you just swipe back on it, and then you're back into the menu system right here. You can set it up for a motion time lapse. You can set it up for selfie, in case you wanted to vlog yourself. You can also set it up for portrait, which is pretty unique stuff. You can set it up for zoom, roll. You can payload settings, which is a good thing to do right here, especially whenever you're talking about calibrating your gimbal for yourself. If we swipe back, you're going to go to knob settings. You can control the sensitivity of this knob right here. You can go to camera control, how you want to control the camera via USB or other things like that. You can go back out of it. You can go to autofocus, and this is what I was talking to you about. If you buy the follow focus rig, then it'll connect up here, and you can simply control your autofocus with this right here. Going back out of it, you go into some more settings. You can go into calibration. It'll go into a automatic calibrating system, and so if you just let it do that, it'll say calibration complete, and then you just hit confirm, and now your gimbal is ready to go. So if you find your gimbal performing not the way you want it to, you can always go into this setting right here, which is going to be shooting mode. And so if you go into shooting mode, let's say you want your gimbal to turn a little bit more fast, you can go into action. Let's say you want it more smooth, you just hit smooth. And let's say you want default, which is how it comes out of the box. You just hit default right there. If you want to customize it, you can customize your follow speed as well as your dead zone. Your dead zone is going to be how long it takes before your gimbal responds. And then swiping back out, you are back to your main settings right here. If your camera is paired with your gimbal, you can see right here, you're going to have your ISO settings, your shutter speed settings, as well as that's white balance right here. If you swipe over, you get your different profile settings, and you can just basically configure this gimbal to where it lines up exactly with your camera, and that way you can do everything on here versus having to worry about both of them. Okay guys, so that is going to be how you set up your gimbal and how you use this particular gimbal. Again, this is the AK2000S. They just released the 2000C. I believe that's going to be a little bit more compact, still have some awesome features that this one has as well. And yeah, so you can see again, I have the Canon EOS RP. I have it with the nifty 50mm 1.8 currently, but it also has no problems holding my Canon EOS R6 mounted with a 35 or 50mm lens like that. So you can use it with bigger cameras, but you will suffer whenever you try to mount a bigger lens such as the 24-70 or maybe even an 18-35 or 15-35. So you got to keep that in mind, but it does perform well. Again, this is like a split-in image of the AK4500, which is their flagship. It's their top of the line gimbal that most professionals use. Looks just like this. It has almost all of the same features that the AK2000S has. I'm extremely impressed with this gimbal. If you have any questions or any concerns on how to set up or use this gimbal, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'll be glad to answer them for you. If you want to check out this gimbal maybe on Amazon or anything like that, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next one. Later.